So before we get started with the video, I'd like to ask all of you out there who are watching, that includes you, to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Hi everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, and this is going to be a life update video. I hope that all of you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Mine was actually quite nice. My roommates went away for the weekend to Philadelphia, so I had the entire house to myself, which was really nice. It took some getting used to at first, but after that, I enjoyed it. So before we get started, I'd like to thank all of you for getting me to 700 subscribers here on YouTube. I know that I've been on YouTube for quite a long time now, and I don't get a chance to film videos as often as I would like to. I'm still working on that. But 700 subscribers is a major milestone to me, so thank you very much. And those of you who donated to my GoFundMe campaign, thank you for your donations. I greatly appreciate them. So it has been a few weeks now since I traveled out of town for my grandfather's funeral to Mississippi. I've been dealing with a lot this month, for the month of May. It's been probably one of the, let's see, how can I phrase this? One of the most challenging months of this year thus far. But today is a nice day because it isn't as hot as it has been. Usually we're into the 90s, sometimes even into the hundreds. 2 weeks ago we were, so today I think we're in the upper 80s. So today is just right. So as most of you already know that I lost my job at the beginning of April after only working there for a month due to workplace discrimination. And since then, I filed a claim with the EEOC, which stands for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Unfortunately, they're booked. They have no available time slots for interviews, not for the next 2 to 3 months. So they told me that probably within the next 3 to 4 months, now it's probably 2 months, they will contact me to schedule an interview. And they will decide then whether or not what I experienced on the job constitutes as workplace discrimination. I am part of a protected group, so I think I have a relatively strong case. But the deadline to contact them is 180 days. But as of right now, there are no available interview times slots, so I have to wait for them to contact me. Hopefully, they will contact me within the next month or so. So last week, my older sister found out that I lost my job. I was in the middle of making dinner last week. I think it was on Thursday, and I get a text from my sister telling me that she's sorry that I lost my job. And I was wondering, wait a minute, how did she find out? I never mentioned this to anyone. So I asked her, and she told me that the YouTube video that I made last month about workplace discrimination showed up on her YouTube feed. She watched it and found out. So that's that. I did ask her not to mention this to anyone else in my family. I'm not ready to tell anyone about this right now. I'm still not ready, even though it's been going on 2 months now. I don't want to be judged or lectured about losing my job after only a month. I had no control over what happened. I did everything right. Yes, I have been consistently applying for other jobs. In fact, I did have an interview 2 weeks ago for a client for a company here in San Antonio. It was only a first round interview with one of the headhunters, and she told me that she could not reveal the client to me just yet. I thought that the interview went well, and she said that she would contact me again with additional information. But it's been 2 weeks now, and I have not heard from her. And last week, I had another interview for a similar role to what I was doing before. The interview went well, and I found out last Friday that I was invited back for a second round interview. So I found out this morning that I will have that second interview this Thursday. I spent some of the weekend preparing and going over my notes and, rehearsing different questions that typically come up in interviews, in these types of interviews for these types of roles. So hopefully by Thursday I'll be ready and that I'll do really well and move on to the third round because he said that there would be a total of three. But what's great about this job is that it's remote, which means that I can work from almost anywhere. The rule that my current roommates have is that tenants cannot work from home. So if I were to get this job, God willing, I'll have to find another place to live. And if I had to find another place to live, I don't think I would remain here in San Antonio. I'd rather go somewhere else in Texas that has a bit of a slower pace than here. San Antonio has been okay, and even now, after being here for almost 3 months, there's still a lot of San Antonio that I have not yet experienced. But I'm not a fan of big cities, especially at my age. I prefer more of a slower pace. And I've also been getting a lot of calls and emails from recruiters out of India. Usually, these types of calls and emails are usually nothing but a waste of my time. But because I'm kind of in a desperate situation right now, most of them I will contact them and give them the information that they're requesting in hopes that they're actually credible. But a lot of times, these types of headhunters or recruiters calling from staffing agencies out of India, most likely, they're usually only interested in getting your information so that they can meet their quotas for the month, maybe even the day. I know, it's kind of frustrating. So let's talk about my living situation. There's been a lot going on with this as well. Right after I came back from Mississippi for my grandfather's funeral, right away I sensed that there was something off at the house where I'm currently living. I noticed that my roommate and his wife, they were spending a lot of time in their bedroom. And he was sleeping a lot too, more than usual it seems. Almost as though they were avoiding me. They were not as talkative, kind of distant, and their demeanor changed. And I understand that, when money's involved, people completely change their tune. And with them being landlords or roommates who own the house, who have to possibly go through the motions of looking for another roommate if I decide to move out, it's going to be somewhat of a strain on them, most likely. So I knew that there was really nothing that I could do because I knew that eventually something was going to happen. We were going to sit down and have a discussion about something. And sure enough, a day or two later, maybe a little longer than that, while my roommate's wife was at work, he texted me and asked if I could speak with him in the dining room. So I told him, sure, I will be out shortly. I just need to finish up what I'm working on. And this all happened about 2 weeks ago. I had a pretty good idea what our discussion was going to be about. I tend to have that sensibility when something's off. I can usually pick up on these types of things. And my roommate told me that he and his wife talked it over and they decided to allow his brother, who is in his last days of his life, to come live with them. So I told them that I completely understand and that I'm awfully sorry about your brother. So he had everything ready to go. He had an agreement that we would sign saying that I must vacate by June 2nd. So after some changes, because there were some incorrect dates on this document, I signed it. And I told him, yeah, I'm really sorry about your brother. I understand. I want to believe that this was true. I took them at their word that they were going to allow their brother, who is very ill, to come live with them. But later on that evening, something happened. Guess what? I received a text from my roommate, and he told me that he and his wife came up with a way that I could possibly stay and not have to move out, and that they would like to discuss this with me. So this was on a Thursday. I told him because I'm already dealing with a lot, and we had just talked the morning before, so I wasn't in the mood to talk about this again all in the same day or within the next day. So I suggested that we sit down on Saturday morning and discuss this. So that following Saturday, 10 a.m., we all sat down, the three of us, and we discussed it. And I thought that he was going to tell me that I could continue living there. I'm sorry, a car went by. I'm hoping that my microphone isn't picking up the excess noise from around too much. But I thought he was going to tell me that he would allow me to stay if I'm okay with living in the house while someone else is on their deathbed. And I would not be okay with that. That would be pretty uncomfortable for me. And I also thought maybe they were going to tell me that if I find employment by this time, by this date, I can stay. But that wasn't the case at all. What they told me was that he and his wife decided to have his brother live at one of his other properties that his son is going to move into next month. And his brother would live there for the remainder of his life. So I agreed to that. But I told them that I'm still unemployed and I don't know when I'm going to find another job. So I could probably hang on for another month, but after June, if I don't have something by then, I must return back to Florida. God forbid, I really don't want to, but what other choice do I have? Because if things don't change for me, I will have to go back to my parents' house in Florida, which wasn't the best environment for me because I'll just put it this way. It's very difficult living with people who do not understand you. And I don't want to put myself through that again if I don't have to. But I must say, it is difficult living with individuals who you live under the same roof as them, and I'm referring to my current roommates. And you're unemployed, you lost your job because they're looking at you, expecting you to find something soon. They may not actually come out and say it, but you can definitely sense that. I can at least. But they have been great with this. They've been very understanding. And I do appreciate them for being understanding. For the most part. There are some things they don't understand, and I no longer talk to my roommate about these types of issues. He's Hispanic, he's Mexican, and his wife is Indonesian. They're very nice people. You know, he's helped me out a great deal with rides. We go to the grocery store sometimes, or if I need to go somewhere, he'll take me there. I try not to ask too often, and even food around the house, you know, if you'd like to have some, you can have some. Help yourself. So they have been great in that respect, and I do appreciate that. And I've tried to be generous with them too. While I was in Mississippi, I saw this nice bag, and this was actually from Walmart, but it says, I don't know if you can see it really good, really well, but it says Greenville, Mississippi on it. You see, it has the little sea turtle on it. So I bought this bag for myself. I couldn't resist. It was nice, a very nice tote bag. So a couple days go by while I'm there, and I decided, you know, I think I should get something for his wife. Maybe she would like a tote bag similar to mine. So I did end up purchasing an orange one for her. I saw a similar bag here in Texas, but it didn't have this this part at the bottom on it, and it did not say San Antonio, Texas. So yeah, it didn't really impress me all that much. But when I saw this one while I was in Mississippi, I had to have it. And I was in need of a tote bag anyway. It definitely came in handy today with me needing to carry all of my recording equipment so I can film this video for you. And while I was driving through Louisiana, I got something for him as well. So as of right now, I'm hanging on. I'm going to remain here in Texas for another month, hopefully longer. Hopefully, I will get this job and I can work remotely from anywhere. Not being in the office environment, it actually could work out in my favor because, with me being trans, me being at the office, involved in office politics, which I try my best not to get involved with, and just people seeing me who may not necessarily like me or like the way that I look can be a problem. But working remotely, I'm not as likely. I can still experience it, but I'm not as likely. I feel like the likelihood of me being discriminated against based on being trans is a little less. Not entirely, but somewhat less. So every year since starting my transition back in 2018, I've been paying on cryopreservation. Before I started HRT, I decided to take care of that because I still would like to have children, maybe one child, perhaps, if I meet the right person. So I have to pay on this every year, and last year they recently increased their prices. So every year I have to pay, currently it's at $400 a month for cryopreservation. And I'd like to continue with it. But as of right now, things are pretty tight and I'm currently unemployed. I have a little bit left to last for about a month or so and to get me back to Florida if I have to return back to Florida. But I hope not. So if you'd like to help me out, support me with living expenses or anything, I do have a GoFundMe. I started a GoFundMe page. I would really appreciate your donations if you're able to give something. If not, I completely understand. By sharing this video, even liking it or commenting helps out a lot. So thank you to all of you for watching. I do appreciate it. Our time is now. Let's change the world. Have a great day.